welcome back at my Rockabilly Guitar Lab, or should I call it an investigation office, because today we are going to have really a detective story. And let me challenge you right away with a question. You have just heard my cover on Train Kept A-Rollin. So how many electric guitars do you think you can hear in that part? Also, let me keep you a little bit bored for a while, because I just want to say that if you like my videos, please put thumbs up and subscribe and click that bell icon. That would help my humble channel growing. And most importantly, please check my latest release on Spotify, iTunes, you name it, your favorite streaming platform. It's called Click Clack Clickety Clack. To keep you a little bit intrigued, the title track contains a guitar solo where I also play some double octaves. Now, let's get back to the point. So 66 years ago today is 2nd of July, so on 2nd of July 1956, a bunch of gangsters had a convention at Owen Bradley's studio in Nashville and recorded some songs, among them Train Kept A-Rollin. You are familiar with this old argument. Who was playing the lead guitar part? Was it Grady Martin or Paul Burlison? In the end, we have an evidence. And our evidence is actually the songs themselves. If you listen to them closely and attentively, you will hear a lot of interesting things. And let me put it just straight. I can hear two guitars on those recordings. Two electric guitars was not that unusual. Just recall Hot Rock by Johnny Carroll, where Grady Martin plays the solo while Harold Bradley, the brother of Owen Bradley, is playing bass notes like this. Or another example, Rocket in My Pocket by Jimmy Lloyd. Actually, there are not two guitars, but a guitar and an electric six-string bass, done electro six-string bass played by Grady Martin. And Hank Garland playing electric guitar parts, I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And then we have Train Kept A-Rollin. You can clearly hear actually two guitars playing in the ending of the song. That's the most apparent part. But is it the only part of the song when we can hear two guitars? Actually not. If you recall the first refrain after the solo, so the refrain where Johnny Burnette sings "Get Along," you can hear also the very same sound of that second guitar somewhere in the background. And finally, you might consider me a little bit crazy, but I really believe that the intro was played also with two guitars. Well, I've actually tried to recreate the thing that was done by those guys in the studio on that day, and here's what I've got. So what do we have here? Let's start with the most challenging and controversial part, the intro. Am I going crazy, or is there really two guitars? Well, first of all, in the very beginning, we don't have double octaves, we have only double stops. Most importantly, the guitar sound of these double stops is considerably different than that of the double octaves. The double stop sound is warm and fat, also it has considerably less distortion, and should I say it sounds dry, while the double octave sound is trebly and biting and more distorted, and I can hear maybe also just a tiny bit of, but still slapback. I would probably guess that the first sound is coming from something that has a mahogany body, a set neck, and P90-ish style pickups, while the other sound, the double octaves, most likely were played on something like this. So pine body or ash body, bolt-on neck, more distortion, etc., etc. But then comes a question: how and at which exactly point do we have the change from sound 1 to sound 2? Could it be so that the guy was just switching his pickups, maybe? Oops. That would be really challenging to do it in real time. Plus, if you listen closely to the recording, you will realize that the very first double stops, namely these three, are clear and articulate. I mean, you can hear pretty much every note. Then this part, you can hear every note as well, while in between we really have a mess. If you slow the recording down as much as you can and listen, you will hear something like this. Which could be actually perfectly explained if you consider that there were simply two guitar sounds. Guitar number 1 was playing this. While at the same time, guitar number 2 started simultaneously with this lick. And if you recall other parts of Train Kept A-Rollin, like namely the same refrain, after the solo you can hear the same lick, and it's a single note lick, there are no double stops. And you can hear it once or twice, even in Honey Hush as well. So that was the intro. Now the refrain, the one after the solo. In the background we have yet once again that another guitar with the same warm and fat sound, and it is playing something like this. So these double stops, second and third string, 12th fret and 9th fret, if you are interested, here we go. It is a typical Grady Martin's lick. Just recall your baby blue eyes. Pretty much the same. And these typical Grady Martin's microbands. And then, after a while, the guy who sounds pretty much like Grady Martin, he plays yet one more double stop. So it's second string 12th fret, third string 11th fret, and also with a microband. And then finally the ending. I have to admit, in the ending it's kind of hard to recognize what exactly does that guy play, because Johnny Burnette screams his last words, and yeah, but I could approximate it with something like this. So here we have a bunch of pull-offs and the double stop, kind of the same double stop going in parallel down the fretboard, starting from 12th fret, dead notes, 10th fret, second and third strings, 9th fret, pull off, then 7th fret, pull off to the open strings, 4th 4th string 9th fret and E. 1st string 9th fret. And finally, the last chord, which is E6 in the open position. So that was it with Train Kept A-Rollin. And what about Honey Hush? Well, I have recorded another demo. Let's have a listen. Let's start with the most obvious part, which is the ending. So, once again, just like in Train Kept A-Rollin, I have really a feeling that the double octave guy was probably not very confident. Probably he was lacking some skills when it comes to playing intros and endings. So he simply needed support from that other, more skilled guitar player. So, by the way, what about intros? In Train Kept A-Rollin we have an intro that, as we have seen, most likely was played by the second guitar player as well, while in Honey Hush there is kind of no intro per se. What do I mean? I mean, yeah, I could clearly imagine that the whole band started playing it all together, just normally with a count like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But at the same time, I really have a feeling that it might have been possible that they had been already playing for a while and their entire playing got captured on the tape, and then the sound engineer just took scissors and cut the very beginning of the tape, and the remaining is what we hear on the recording. I did an experiment. I recorded it in the same way. I started playing and then removed the beginning part. So here is the part as I have played it. And then after removing the beginning, the very beginning, of course I didn't have to use scissors for that, I've got this. So yeah, but once again, I cannot be 100% sure, but what I'm 100% sure about is what we can hear on the recording. It's the ending, the final lick of the song that sounds like this. So once again, if you are interested, it's in the key of E, so it's all 12th fret, and I mean left hand we have 12th fret and we have 9th fret, starts with E, 3rd string, 9th fret, a customary microbend, and then 7th fret, and open 6th string in the very end. That's the ending, and the very same considerations about the sound, like warm and fat, not very distorted sound. These considerations apply also here. And what is also important, it starts from E, 3rd string, 9th fret. And now we are coming to the rest of the song. You remember, you can hear some kind of clingy-clangy sound, which is actually not consistent. So sometimes it's just clingy-clang, cling-clang, cling-clang, but at other times it sounds pretty much like open 3rd string. And that's exactly the kind of sound you can achieve if you mute 3rd string with index finger on 9th fret and just play with the touch, with the pressure of your finger. You can press it a little bit more and you get a clean clank. You can release the finger a little bit, but not completely. And you get the sound of the open third string. And needs to mention that the skill of the guitar player who was playing this humble and easy guitar part, his skill was still there. I mean, he didn't change between clean clank and open third string randomly, but instead he was kind of listening to what the other band members were playing. Like when Johnny Burnette was singing, "Hey, come on, in this house, stop all the triagedy-yak," we could have heard clean clank, but when Johnny Burnette was making a break in his singing, the guitar playing was giving it a little bit more gas, answering the vocal parts, and in some other cases answering lead guitar parts as well. So yeah, that was Honey Hush, played with 2 electric guitars. Now, last but not least, I'm here you asking, but what about Please Don't Leave Me Baby Please Don't Go, the alternative take? In the last solo, there is a moment where we can hear some double octaves. Was it also played with 2 electric guitars? Well... So what the hell did I play with my acoustic guitar? As a matter of fact, if you try to capture the chord progression that the band played in that last solo, you will realize that the double bass player clearly lost the chord progression somewhere in the middle. So just to compare, here on one side we have a typical 12-bar blues, on the other side we have what you can hear on the recording as played by the double bass guy. We all think that Nashville A-Team musicians, those were really session aces, and those really were, but at the same time they were just humans, also prone to mistakes. But nevertheless, that's what I've tried to reproduce with my acoustic guitar, so exactly that chord progression as it was played by the double bass player, or lack of the chord progression when I couldn't recognize what kind of rubbish did he play. And now let's take a look at the guitar part. It's a typical Grady Martin's goodness in the key of G, 15th fret, first string 15th fret, second string 14th fret with a bend. So normally you'd probably play it like this. But that was too easy for Mr. Thomas Grady Martin, so here's what he played. So here we have this G on the third string 12th fret. A couple of double stops, so 12th fret, second string, third string, and the first double stop is the dissonant one, and then a normal one. So let me play it once again. And at this moment, the double bass player has already lost the chord progression, and Grady Martin noticed that. So now, based on my own experience of playing jam sessions or improvised gigs, like when they call you as a substitute guitar player and you jump straight on stage without kind of knowing exactly what the guys are going to play, so what do you do in such situation? You continue playing, you stay on some notes that are safe in the given harmonic and overall context of the song, and at the same time you try to listen. What's going on? What happens? Where exactly the band is? And that's pretty much what Grady Martin was doing here. So once again. So he was staying on these two notes, trying to realize what's going on, and at the very end he kind of gave up and made a break. And exactly at that very moment, the second guitar player, the double octave guy, probably decided to save the track and play two double octaves. G on the 3rd fret and B flat, which is 6th fret. And now what you can hear simultaneously with this B flat on the 6th fret is Grady Martin starting to play also B flat, but this time 3rd string, 15th fret. So that's his last lick of the solo. All in all, this B flat, it was played simultaneously by two guitars. You can clearly hear it, and you can clearly hear that since Grady Martin plays B flat with a microband, you can clearly hear that these two guitars get slightly out of tune by the end of the note. And plus, the double octave note is considerably shorter than Grady Martin's one. So, in the end, this thing was also played by two electric guitars. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so that was our evidence. And now it's time for the jury to come up with a final verdict. And if I pretend I'm a jury, my verdict would be, well, we have two guitars, and if something sounds like Grady Martin, plays like Grady Martin, well, it is Grady Martin. But that would mean, and that might be hard to accept for die-hard Grady Martin's fans, that would mean that the double octave thing was not played by him. So who was the guy playing the double octaves? Was it Hank Garland or Harold Bradley? If you think of the double octave guy, he was definitely, as we have seen, lacking skills. So he was not confident when it was coming to things like endings, intros. He needed continuously support from the other guy, from Grady Martin. That doesn't match like Hank Garland's profile. And also, if it was someone from A-Team, then we would probably have known that, because they would make sure that their names would have been mentioned in the studio files, because that was the way how Owen Bradley was calculating their salaries, based on how many sessions. And now if we think about an amateur guitar player who didn't have to rely on payments from Owen Bradley, who was most likely earning his living from being a skilled electrician, and probably played a Fender guitar with a bolt-on neck. Paul Burlison. Paul Burlison. So yeah, that's my take on this topic. Thank you for watching, and before I leave you, once again, please consider thumbs up, subscribing, and have a listen to my latest release on Spotify and other streaming services, kpnash, click-clack, clickety-clack. I will, by the way, continue with this Johnny Burnette, Paul Burlison double octave thing on this channel pretty soon, hopefully. So once again, thank you for watching. Bye.